And in June, I ended up qualifying for the Open and played in my second Open. I got paired with Jack Fleck, and who I had played some tournament golf and practice rounds in the winter. Went to the tee, and I thought, Lord have mercy, I don't know what's going to happen. I was scared to death. And I teed it up and hit it right down the middle of the fairway. That round I shot 70. I hit every fairway and all the greens, shot 70, and was the second low player. Nobody broke par but Tommy Bolt, shot 67. And I played with Jack Fleck that day. And he started out and he bogeyed 5 of the first 6 holes. And walking to the 7th tee, the short par 4, you could hit the ball just in front of the green and pitch it over the bunkers and so forth. And he said, if I don't par these next 2 holes, this and 8, he said, I'm done. So he pars the hole, and on the 8th hole, he hits his ball and he catches one of those cedar trees off to the right of the tee, and the ball doesn't come down, stays up in the tree. So we walk up to the green, and he's taking off his glove, and he tells the caddy, take the club to the clubhouse, I'm done. He can't, and all of a sudden the ball fell out of the tree right on the green. True story. And I said, Jack, come here, you got to finish it. It just fell out. He turned around and he 2-putted and made his par. And he said, I'm quitting anyway. I'm not going to finish this day. Jack had the kind of personality that anything that didn't go just the way he thought it should go, he just would walk away and forget about it. But anyway, I grabbed him by the shirt sleeve and I said, Jack, I said, you can't leave 2 of us out here. You got to finish. I said, we don't want to play with a twosome the rest of the way. You got to finish. And I had driven from Davenport, Iowa, all the way to California with him. And the next tournament was in Portland, Oregon for the Western Open. And I said, how am I going to get to Portland this week? And anyway, I talked him into playing. So he played the back 9. He shot 76. Okay? Now, to make a long story short, because I can tell all the details, but you don't want to hear it all. He ends up obviously tying with Hogan and had gotten a playoff with him. And that morning, he went out to play. Doug Ford and some other guy were going to Portland, and I said, look, I'm going to catch a ride with them. You just finish playing Hogan. And I didn't stay for the whole round, but I asked Jack, I said, how do you think you'll do with him today? He said, Walker, you know, when I was shaving a while ago, I looked in the mirror and it was just like a mirage. Like an angel or something was talking to me and said, you're going to beat Ben Hogan today. And he said, I kept hearing that over and over again. And he said, you know what? I'm going out there and I'm going to beat his butt. And he did. And that's how he won the Open. So we get to the last round, and I'm playing with Harvey Ward, and I hit the ball on the green on the par 3 hole about 15 feet by the hole, and had a little terrace coming back to the hole. And Harvey walks up there and he says, Pro, all you got to do is just par in and you're going to win the U.S. Open. Now, I don't know why he told me that, but I really didn't care. All I thought about that last round, I said, if I can finish in the top 16, I can get in the Masters. And since I was a little kid, that's all I ever wanted to do is play in the Masters. And so I really, in my mind, I said, I haven't got any chance of winning the Open, but I can sure get in the top 16. Well, that's what happened. I ended up finishing, and I made like 6 over par the last 3 holes. I couldn't hardly hold on to the club. But I ended up finishing tied for the 13th, 14th, whatever that was, something like that. And I got in the first 16, got in the Open, got an exemption for a year, got invited to the Colonial, got invited to all the Pro-Ams, and I mean, it was a great thing to happen to a rookie, you know, to be exempt and not have to worry about who's playing where and that kind of thing. So I did that, and a week later, I was up in Oregon playing the Western Open. I got a letter from Bob Jones, and the letter said, Walker, we're very happy to have the first native Augustan to play in the Masters next year. And there was a card in there, and he said, I want you to be my guest at the Augusta National. So whenever you're home, come over and play all you want. Use the card to buy refreshments, whatever, you know, something nice, he said like that. And he said, just make yourself at home. It's just your home. So I ended up with exemption for the whole year, a membership for the Augusta National for a year, and a personal invitation signed, my master's invitation signed by Bobby Jones. So being from Augusta and all the publicity, there was 2,500 people standing around the first tee lining the place. You've seen it that way before. Well, I'll tell you, it was a rare experience, and I'd never had before. So I teed the ball up, closed my eyes, and just swung at it, and boy, I went right up the fairway, up by the bunker. I'm about 155, 60 yards from the green. I took out a 6-iron, hit it on it to the right of the hole, about 30 feet away. And I'm standing after the other guys are putting out, and I walk up to that putt, bang, right in the hole, 3. And something just came over me. I said, you know what? I don't know why I was scared at all. This is easy. This is the easiest thing I've ever done. Because I played there many times as a kid and growing up, and shot good scores, shot in the 60s there, and when I realized, golly, this is as easy as it was when I was 15. So I walk over to the next tee. This is the horrible thing that happened. I walk over there, and just as I go up on the tee, Cliff Robbins and Bobby Jones are on the other side of the tee sitting in the golf cart. And I walk up to the front of the tee. Mr. Robbins gets up and he comes over to me and he says, Walker, Mr. Jones is a great friend of your dad's. Very happy to have you as a first Augustan, and I'm happy too. And Mr. Jones wants to know if he can watch you play a few holes. Well, all of a sudden now, the guy that has the best reputation to being one of the best players ever says he wants to watch me play. I'm thinking, oh man, the pressure. I've gotten past the pressure on the first hole, now it's all over again. And of course I said, Mr. Jones, it's nice to see you and shake your hand, and because he had met me the first of the week and talked with me and so forth. And I said, certainly, I'd love to have you watch. And they took the golf cart and went around 9 holes. I shot 37 the front 9, and when I walked over the 10th tee, and he said, well, I'm going to leave you alone now. You play the back 9 and play well. And I was so relieved when he walked away. And I didn't care where the golf ball went from there on in. But anyway, that's kind of the story. But I played the rest of the year. I finished 25th. Now, back in those days, the Masters tournament is the only tournament that didn't invite the top 25 back to play the next year. The only tournament of the whole year. All of the tour events, top 25 automatically gets exemption to the next event and comes back and you can play in the tournament next year. 25th. They only took the first 24. No. So I missed it by one bloody shot. And the last day of the tournament, Jackie Burke won. He shot 71, won the tournament. And the wind blew a gust of as high as 55 miles an hour. They should have canceled the tournament because of wind. You couldn't stand up to putt. I mean, it was just, you brace yourself. And I 3-putted 15, 16, 17, and 18 to miss by one shot. And then my buddy says, why did you do that? I said, I wasn't trying to do that. I was trying just a 2-putt. You couldn't do it. You couldn't hold on to it. So anyway, that's my master's story. And okay, there's maybe something else you're going to add.
The ironic thing is, Walker's father was a fraternity brother of Bob Jones at Georgia Tech. So when you were, how old when you first met him?
I was probably 8 years old.
So when he was 8 years old, he goes over, he gets to meet Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones comes over and he says, wow, Walker, very nice to meet you. He goes, do you want to be a golfer like your dad when you grow up?
I said, no, sir, Mr. Jones, I want to be just like you.
No, sir, I want to be a golfer like you, Mr. Jones. I thought that was one of his greatest stories. I want you to tell him one more story and then we'll call it a night.
Anyway, I was playing the tour and got exempt for the Colonial. And Don January and I got an invitation as 2 of the most promising rookies of the year 55 to play in their tournaments. And it was the week before the Tournament of Champions, which was in Las Vegas every year. And Ernie Russell was a good friend of mine, and we played in Hot Springs, Arkansas the week before the Colonial. And he said, what are you going to do next week? And I said, well, I got a week off. I don't know what to do. And he said, well, come on, go home with me, and you can stay at the house, and you can go out to Colonial and get some practice in. And he says, there's a good game there we can get into that we can make some money. And I said, I think that sounds good. So we go to Colonial, go to Fort Worth and stay with Ernie, and then get up that Monday morning. And he said, going out to Colonial, and the pro out there, Ray Gaffett, I believe, was the pro. He said, he'll take good care of you. He's a nice guy, and he'll get you a caddy, and you can practice, hit balls, and so forth and so on. So I go out there, and he said, I'll be out about 11 o'clock. I got to have a meeting with my dad's business, and I'll see you at 11 o'clock, and we'll tee off. We got a game. So I go out, and get some balls, and I go out on one of the fairways. They don't have a range. You play on a couple of the fairways, hitting balls down as long as there's nobody playing. So I'm out there with this caddy. I'm hitting balls, and all of a sudden I look around and I see golf balls coming over the trees, landing out there, and there's another caddy picking them up. And I asked my caddy, I said, who's that hitting balls out across the trees? He said, that's Mr. Hogan. And he said, he hits balls over the trees. He gets a long iron and gets up close as he can and tries to hit the ball high over those trees. Fine, okay. I hit some balls, and then I finally walk up to the putting green. And I'm putting for about 5 minutes, and I look up the steps out of the pro shop, and here comes Byron Nelson. So he walks out on the green, and I said, hi, Byron, how you doing? He said, hi, Walker, nice to have you this week, and so forth, because I knew him. And he says, have you seen Ernie? I said, no, we're supposed to play about 11 o'clock, and I haven't seen him yet, so I've got a few more minutes. About that time, Byron looks up and he said, Ben, you ready to play? You know what's coming? You can't believe what's coming. And he said, sure, you ready? And he says, I haven't seen Ernie. And I think, wait a minute. And all about that time, here comes Ernie down on the putting green. And I walk over to Ernie and I say, Ernie, who are we playing with? He said, we're playing with Byron Nelson and Ben Hogan. And he said, we'll play them $100 an asshole, we'll just kill them. And I said, Ernie, I don't have, and right away I'm thinking $400. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. I said, I don't want to play Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson. I said, I can't afford to lose the money. He said, man, they don't have a chance. He said, neither one of them can putt like you and I. I said, man. And I said, I couldn't believe what was happening. So pretty soon we go to the tee off, and I made 7 on the first hole. Hit my second shot in a bunker on the corner. I don't remember the hole too well now, but I got it in there. I couldn't even shoot it at the green, just chip it out, hit it on the green, ended up making double bogey on the first par 5 hole. So to make a long story short, Ernie shoots 64. I shot 66 with a 7 on the first hole, and I got $40 in my pocket from Ben Hogan. And then I got paired in the tournament. It was customary for him to play with one of the invitees. And Byron played with January, I think it was, and I got paired with Hogan. I shot 66 again. And Hogan played and shot 68, and never missed a shot. And every time I get it on the green, it just go in. It just went in. And he never said a word. And he said, when we got to the 18th hole, he said, young man, you putt mighty good. He didn't say I played good. He said, you putt good. But that was my experience of playing. I was fortunate to have played with him a couple of times, because a lot of guys, young guys in my day, they maybe saw Hogan play, but they never played with him. And when I say, well, geez, I played with him a couple of times, shot 66 both times. He wasn't in any trouble. So that's the story. But anyway, you don't want to hear me going on and on all these days. Everything I've told you, all the stories are really true. I mean, I'm not glossing over the things, but those things happen.
Gentleman, Walker Inman Jr.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.